When I was abandoned by my natural mother, the last thing I could have imagined was that I would become a successful physician treating thousands of patients. My name is Dr. Moshe Lewis, and this is my story about health and wealth.
11 years ago, I asked myself the million-dollar question, what am I supposed to do with my life? The answer was simple. I wanted to make a difference in the world, help others, and not be a martyr in the process. My name is Gavin Kiley. This is my story about health and wellness.
Dr. Lewis has devoted his whole life in helping people with chronic pain. Now, he's a man and a doctor that really cares about his patients.
What is it that you do?
I actually try to get people out of pain. I see people all the time who are from different walks of life, athletes to executives, people that work in hotels to delivery drivers, and they have hurt themselves accidentally and sometimes playing sports. So my goal is to make that pain go away so they can get back to their lives and be happy.
This is Gavin, CEO of GBK Production. Gavin, in the celebrity world, he's worked with every single big name in the industry. Names like Elton John, Sharon Osbourne, Steve Harvey. And I was in his office and I saw pictures with just about every A-list celebrity in the world. So do you feel that you're really living your life's purpose?
I do.
Oh, nice.
You know, everything that we do, we incorporate charity.
Wow.
So even all the gift lounges that we do, we give back 20% to charity. We will have 3 or 4 different nonprofits on site. And what that does is it gives the celebrities the opportunity to be educated about different causes.
Yeah.
And hopefully get involved in these different causes.
I actually feel that you're very passionate about what you do. Tell us, how did you get into helping people get out of pain?
Sure. So I'm glad the passion comes across because I really do love this, and the reason is because my own mother had a stroke while I was in medical school, and that really started inspiring me to change my field and focus more on pain. She wasn't in horrific pain all the time, but she had tremendous limitations, and it took us years to literally get her walking again, and I was there each step of the way. So a lot of that passion drives from my mom, and many of us are inspired by our parents. And in this case, I feel the best thing I can do is to give back to patients that same passion.
So it started with your mom, right? And now you're helping a lot of people. Do you have a big vision? What is your dream? What's your biggest dream about what you're doing?
Sure. My biggest dream is that we actually eliminate the use of medications and surgery, probably in about 75% of the patients that are in pain. So that's one big goal. And then the second goal is that I really help patients get to a solution that's simple and works for them, that we don't waste time doing things that don't really work. And that can happen a lot in medicine.
So you started this company, and now, tell me some of the downs. Was there any times, because a lot of people watching this, they were saying, hey, I want wealth, and oh, maybe these guys got it easy. He's living in LA or Hollywood, and it's easy for him. Tell me some about the challenges about building a company.
I am living in LA.
Yeah.
The weather here is perfect.
Okay.
So yes, I have it easy in that department.
Yeah, okay, nice.
But,
okay.
The first 5 or 6 years, there was 2 or 3 of us.
Yeah.
And we're literally just doing everything.
Yeah.
And, and even 2 or 3 years ago, there was times that, we have a substantial amount of payroll.
Yeah.
And there was times where I'm like, ooh, am I going to make payroll?
Sure.
Luckily now I don't have to worry about that as much, but there was definitely times where I was fortunate enough to get one gig, and that gig paid the bills and kept the doors open.
Are you the type of person you have to have everything planned out about your business, or are you the type of person that just take action and sort of get better as you go?
Am I the type of person to take action?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
no doubt about it.
Okay.
I mean, I take action in every single thing that we do.
Yeah.
Am I a planner? To some respect, yes. But I'm also incredibly good at winging it.
Okay.
You have to be that way, especially when you produce events.
Sure.
Things come up. Things don't always go according to plan. There was a time that we created a big press wall out of Tic Tacs, and we had over 70,000 Tic Tacs on this press wall.
Wow.
And we show up the next morning, there was 300 bees swarming it. And so we had to hire a beekeeper at the last minute.
Wow, okay.
And these 3 guys come in their masks and they're getting rid of all the bees, and we're having to move the whole press wall before the celebrities arrive. And,
Wow.
and Jennifer Love Hewitt and a bunch of other people were coming, and luckily, literally 2 minutes before they arrived, it was all perfect and no one ever knew anything.
So you're not only a doctor, you're also an entrepreneur because you run your own business. How do you balance the two, wealth and health?
Right, that's one of the greatest challenges I think every doctor and business person faces today. You've got a lot of time with the public, but you also have to keep the practice going. So for me, it's paying attention to the numbers, which we all have to do, and making sure that there are always patients to be seen. Luckily or unfortunately, patients will often come to the doctor, and many people have pain, so I never end the day without there being somebody calling for an appointment tomorrow because they have pain. But in terms of the actual finances, one of them is keeping a couple of offices. I have an office in Beverly Hills and also an office in San Francisco. And so that keeps a nice mix of patients for me to be able to see.
So as an entrepreneur, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
Well, my biggest challenge is finding enough hours in the day. There's so many things that I want to do, and there's so many patients that do need help and that have questions that literally I have to add extra hours. And so now I start at 8 in the morning and often go till 6 at night. And obviously, family is important to me, so I want to maintain that balance. So that's actually my greatest challenge. And so now I've found other practitioners, a yoga instructor that works part-time, an acupuncturist that's in the office as well, and a psychologist to help with some of the other aspects of the practice that do take even more time so that patients don't feel rushed. Patients really like a lot of face time.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Making somebody smile. I think the biggest challenge that a doctor, especially who treats pain, is getting a smile. And it's not to make a joke, but it's to try to see, can I actually make them happier and feel a little better?
What then is your least favorite thing about what you do?
Right. Having a patient that refuses to change. Many times patients are very set in their ways, and regardless of everything you try to do, they will not change. And that's probably something that does frustrate me. I try to work around it, but I can't always.
So what do you say to a patient like that? How do you encourage them?
My biggest challenge is often working through one of their family members or finding that little secret button that if you push it, they may change. Usually it takes years. We have seen that sometimes it takes 7 times to approach an issue. Let's say that it's actually giving up cigarettes to actually get someone to even think about making a change. So over the course of working with a patient, that may be a couple of years. And so patience is definitely a virtue in this regard, but sometimes really accepting that patients are not ready is the reality and that they will not be moved. We are in a super fast-paced world at every single level, so our patients only have but so much time to put into this process of going and getting tests and going and exercising. So I feel like I'm the coach, and I call myself a pain coach many times because I have to really motivate my patients to realize that although they may have seen somebody before, although they may feel down and depressed, we can work together to overcome this thing called pain.
Can you tell us, Sue, How did you start out and how did you get to where you are right now?
Well, it's definitely a long road. Most people know medical school and the training that's required does take quite a time. But when I started out, actually, I was adopted by a family in New York, and they saw something in me and figured that they could also give me something, which was a home. And I didn't have that. My parents had separated and left me. So by going into this very nurturing environment, they constantly surrounded me with love and told me I could do or be anything I wanted. My mother was a nurse, my adopted mother, and that's what I call her, Mom. And so I obviously had a penchant towards healthcare just because of her being a nurse. But she said, go out there, volunteer, see what it's like, put in the time, actually see if this is something you're going to be happy with. And so I did everything she told me to do. And certainly there were ups and downs. There were times where I took classes, I hate to admit it, geometry, oh my gosh, I got a D. Other classes that were challenged. Physics was certainly an enigma or confusing. But other classes I loved, and science in general, especially biology, I thought was phenomenal. So I literally kept applying and kept taking those tests and kept making sure I passed them as well as I could and marched through the steps. And ultimately, in terms of starting to practice, I really realized that that's where most doctors and even Americans have to go. We have to own our own business, and we have to be convinced that we can achieve success if we are entrepreneurs and if we're in charge.
With wealth, a lot of times people look at a guy like you and say, wow, this guy's a wealthy guy. But I'm sure there had to be challenges in your life. Did you ever have challenges in school growing up, or what kind of challenges?
I had a tremendous amount of difficulties growing up and in school. Frankly, I probably got all D's, maybe a C if I was lucky growing up.
Yeah.
And so I was very fortunate that my parents were aware of the difficulties that I was going through, and they made every effort that they could to try to improve my education and try to see what was wrong. And so they found a school that was in Switzerland that had a 5-to-1 ratio of students per teacher.
Now, did they come with you, or
They didn't. They stayed here.
Okay,
It was a boarding school,
All right.
and which, by the way, was one of the best experiences of my life.
Wow.
I traveled all around Europe. I played on the basketball team. It was great.
Wow.
But it wasn't till my junior year where one of the teachers suggested that I might be dyslexic and that I get tested that my life turned around dramatically.
Wow.
What in your childhood do you think led you to become a doctor?
My mother essentially telling me that I could be anything that I want, but that I should consider healthcare. And so that was something that started blending or brewing in my mind, and little by little I decided to actually explore it.
What were the challenges that you faced when you were younger?
For me, the challenges were as simple as getting to school. The neighborhood I grew up in, still to this day, was riddled with people that sell drugs and also prostitution. And that's just the way, unfortunately, that it's been. So many of my childhood friends never made it past high school. They got involved in the drug trade because it was quick, easy money. And there are lots of neighborhoods like that to this day. My parents tried to have me realize that if I went to school, not only would I be able to make money, but also that they would be happy. And as simple as it may seem, I really, being given a second chance at life by being adopted, I really did want that more than anything in the world. I wanted my mother and wanted my father to really be proud of me and what I was doing.
So I used to say my life did a 360. That wouldn't be so good. It actually did a 180.
Okay.
My life literally changed dramatically. To me, one has to feel good about themselves for others to feel good about them.
Okay.
And that once I was diagnosed, I knew what was wrong. And, my form of dyslexia is different than what one could typically think of dyslexia.
Okay.
One thinks dyslexia is just seeing letters backwards.
Okay.
My form was learning how to learn, basically, and that was I have to read out loud in order to really understand something that's complicated.
Wow.
If it's just a basic thing where it says, the front page of the sports page or Dodgers won, I don't have to read that out loud.
Okay.
But if it's something that takes concentration, I really have to read it out loud, or maybe even read it 2 or 3 times to get it.
So just that switch helped you tremendously then?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, literally my whole life turned around.
Wow.
So do you think adoption shaped you in a lot of important ways?
Absolutely. For me, it was essentially a new lease on life. I was 9 years old, sitting in a courtroom with a judge who asked me privately just to answer if I would feel comfortable spending the rest of my life with the Lewis family. And when that happens to you, even though I was young, it really makes a tremendous impression. You felt like not only did you want to say the right thing, but that you really wanted to be honest, as most 9-year-old kids are. And so with me saying yes, that I had been with this family now about 7 years and felt tremendously loved and had never really been abused in any kind of way, it was time to actually step up to the plate and really make them my family. But also, it certainly has shaped every part about me in terms of giving something back to them, making them proud, but also giving back to the rest of the world, because I was so fortunate that the least I could do was to try to find a gift to give everyone else.
So once this teacher helped you and you learned that you had, you actually are a smart guy, and it sounds like you started taking leadership. So do you think that school background way back then helped you to be who you are now with your company?
I definitely think that I would not be where I was today if I wasn't diagnosed as being dyslexic my junior year of high school.
So that's really helped.
Yeah.
And you being a leader now, and you say about giving back to charities, you think that has something to do with it, or?
You know, it's interesting. I don't think I've ever thought about it before.
Okay.
And I wonder why I want to give back so much to charity. But maybe it's because I'm always wanting to help the underdog, because
Okay.
I was an underdog.
Okay. Yeah. You know, one thing with a lot of wealthy people, I find that sometimes if somebody's not wealthy yet, they may look at wealthy people saying, oh yeah, these guys have it easy, they have money. And I find that sometimes the wealthiest people are sometimes the most giving people too. Do you find that true too?
Well, Stephen, at the end of the day, I really firmly believe that one gets so much more out of giving than they do out of receiving. And I learned a very valuable lesson about 10 years ago. I saw this homeless person, and I went to go buy them a dozen bagels. And just bought them a dozen bagels, brought it over to him, and he turned me down.
Wow.
And I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was actually really mad. And I walked away, and I literally asked myself the question. I said, why am I so mad? And the answer was simple. I get more out of giving than he could have ever gotten out of receiving it.
Got it. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So it's somewhat selfish by how much I give,
Yeah.
or how much I get back.
Wow. Nice.
What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is achieving balance, if I had to find one word. Because if I can take care of my family and make sure I have time with them, while at the same time take care of my health, and then also provide for patients, achieving that balance not only is a challenge, but also equates with success, in my mind.
Where in your life do you see that balance?
I probably see that balance every day. I certainly try to make sure I spend some time with my child, although it's not enough. On the weekends, I try to make up for that by essentially all the work goes to the side. It just has to really get some time with the family. And then, of course, with patient care, it's something that I literally do Monday through Friday. I'm always seeing patients. And part of it is driven by, as I said, being able to have the staff and letting them have a job, but you can't really be there if there's no one to take care of. But more importantly, because this is what's so needed, you need to have an interaction with your doctor where they're not off somewhere else at ivory tower while you're in pain. And so I really try to achieve the balance in that type of way, some time with the family, but also literally seeing patients. So practicing what I preach means actually being in there and seeing patients, not leaving them on their own to figure it out.
Now, any advice if somebody's watching and just looking, what advice would you say that how to have wealth and health in your life and how to have balance? What's your way of having the balanced lifestyle that works for Gavin?
I know that this whole show is about balancing it, but you know, there are individuals that some care more about health than they do about wealth.
Got it. Okay.
And others care more about wealth than they do about health.
How about you? What's more important for you, health or wealth?
Wow. Of course I want to be healthy.
Okay.
Of course.
Sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to continue on every day if I wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
But I would say I do care a little bit more about wealth than I do about health.
Okay.
Because I actually feel like the more wealthy that I become, the more I can focus on the health elements, because then I can hire a trainer to help me and be healthy on a daily basis.
Okay.
And you know, be able to shop at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
And be able to eat a more healthy lifestyle too.
Okay.
And unfortunately, sometimes it does take that wealth to be able to do the things that you want to do to keep healthy too.
Yeah. So getting back to your health, Gavin, you said that you like, going out and hiking and getting away. Did you discover that one day, or was it in school, or how did you find that? Wow, I like going hiking.
I think I discovered hiking about 8 or 9 years ago. My parents went to Sedona and they told me how amazing it was there, and they suggested that I go. And so I went, and I just had such a peaceful experience there that I decided, okay, I want to go hiking any possible time I have.
Wow, nice.
What is it that you do for exercise?
For me, I exercise by essentially starting with what we used to call calisthenics, some push-ups and some sit-ups, and then I actually go running. Then typically, honestly, about twice a week, I will go to the gym and do a full workout, half cardio and half anaerobic with the weights and with the machine.
What about your patients? What is it that you recommend them in terms of exercise?
A lot of my patients have pain, and so I start them by actually walking. That is one of the simplest exercises, and yet many of my patients have a challenge. So we look at how much they're walking, what distance, and also if they are having challenges with that, can we decrease some of that, for example, by getting them in the water. Many people do better walking actually in a pool. Beyond that, for patients that are much more athletic, we move on to jogging, we move on to running, bicycling, and then really trying to get specific about that joint that may hurt the most, whether it's the back or the knee. We can tailor exercises to actually get that joint stronger.
So Gavin, if you have viewers watching, an entrepreneur, and they want to give to nonprofits, to charities, do you have any advice for that?
The easiest way to incorporate a nonprofit into what you're doing is to give them a percentage of your profits.
Okay.
And frankly, again, it's all about creating the win-win. So what you could do is you have it on your packaging, where you say 10% of the proceeds go to XYZ charity. And it can be a charity that's dear to your heart, of course, or a charity that is in some way, shape, or form correlates to your brand. And by doing that, you're going to differentiate yourself from your competition. So not only are you making a difference, but when someone's looking at the shelf and deciding what to buy, if there's one product that is $1.99 and another product that's $1.89, and that one product that's $1.99 is giving back to charity, someone is a lot more apt to buy that product that's $1.99.
Okay. How about if you're a charity and you want people to give more money to you? How do you get yourself out there? Any advice for that?
That's a difficult one.
Okay.
Because there's obviously a lot of charities want to raise money.
Okay.
I'd say be open to partnering, Be open to partnering with other nonprofits, with brands. Don't be so concerned about your name that you won't allow others to use it to help you.
Right.
Here are the 7 great health advantages to hiking. Number 1, hiking consistently can in fact boost your energy levels. Since hiking really involves plenty of walking, your energy levels ultimately rise. Walking and hiking has been shown to significantly help with your sleep problems, thereby boosting your daytime energy levels as well. For number 2, keep in mind that hiking allows us to be more in touch with nature. Spending time out in the open air and breathing clean air improves lung health significantly. This is actually due to the possibility of breathing in fresher air as opposed to when we're in a highly populated, possibly more polluted metropolitan area. Number 3, hiking can also lower the risk of high cholesterol and triglycerides when done consistently and as a stable form of exercise. Lowering the risk of cholesterol and triglycerides, which are of course one of the many different substances that make up fat tissue, also reduces the risk of heart disease, and therefore you're improving your heart health as well. Now for number 4, remember that hiking increases metabolism when done for extended periods of time. Depending on the intensity of the hike, of course, your heart rate increases a lot, and that in turn can improve someone's metabolic rate significantly. For number 5, remember that hiking improves sleep. Since hiking has been really shown to reduce stress, sleep patterns are also improved as an indirect result. Number 6, hiking improves brain functioning. When you include hiking as a routine regimen, hiking reduces the level of oxidative and free radical damage in the brain. It also improves cognitive functioning of the brain in the long run. And last, hiking helps to improve symptoms of diabetes. Researchers have found that regularly exercising, such as taking on hiking, can actually improve your sugar levels especially if you're a diabetic. So what they have found is that the sugar levels are much lower for people who undergo intensive exercise. So with all the 7 tips combined, we can actually say that hiking is both beneficial and much needed in order to have a balanced lifestyle.